Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bhaskar from Free Press Journal. And with me is a group of very, very interesting panelists who are going to talk about what Netherlands could mean for India. Netherlands is a small country, but boy, what a punch they pack. And when you look at Netherlands very closely, you find some of the largest companies there. You find some of the most amazing advantages that companies want coming from there. Most of the introduction of all the panelists will be done by Dr. Vanitha Rane, who's the head of the PMM, and by her student, Kavya. The reason why I mentioned the student's name is because whenever Vanitha Rane has to go for a meeting, because the examination season and discussion, the examination committee meetings are underway, and so she's taken away, Kavya steps in and takes over her role. Okay, over to you, Vanitha. Can you just do the introductions?
Good afternoon to all the attendees. And I also welcome all the panelists, myself, Dr. Vanitha Rane, on behalf of SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Department of Mass Media. Once again, welcome all of you all on this last episodic series on focusing on Netherlands. Over to you, Kavya.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome, everyone. For all the viewers today present, I'd like to introduce our panelists for the last episode of Financing India series. Today's focus country is Netherlands, starting with Mr. Bart de Jong. He's the Consul General of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Mumbai. He's been here since October 2020. Mr. Bart joined the Dutch government service in the year 1988, and since then he's served in various positions, dealing with international policies of the then Ministry of Transport and Public Works, later Ministry of Infrastructure and the Environment. He is the head of the Shipping Division Counselor at the Netherlands Embassy in Washington, D.C. He holds an MA in Human Geography at Utrecht University with minors in Development Economics and International Political Relations. Welcome again, sir. We also have Dr. Vikas Chaturvedi. He is the CEO of Valucent Consultancy. He's an expert on India-Europe businesses, and in particular, India and the Netherlands. He's an advisor to top multinational corporates in India and Europe. He's closely working with various governmental bodies and plays a catalyst role in business expansion between India and Europe. We also have with us Ms. Preet Dhupar. She's the Chief Financial Officer of IKEA India. She has been with IKEA for more than 6 years and has played a key role in the entry of IKEA in India, with the first store opening in Hyderabad in the year 2018 and in developing and implementing IKEA's expansion plans in India. She's a chartered accountant with a bachelor's degree from Sri Ram College of Commerce. We also have with us our one of our panelists called Victor Eveleens. He's a partner and director of trade at the NXT Group of Companies. A little about him: he's the Director India at Netherlands Agro-Food and Technology Center, known as NAFTC. After finishing his bachelor's degree in business engineering at the University of Utrecht and Masters of Science degree in industrial marketing at the University of Amsterdam, he moved to India in the year 2008. He then founded a trading company called Nexus Novus. It's an import and distribution company. In the year 2015, his company merged with the NXT Group of Companies. Since then, Victor has been the end responsible for all the trade activities, business development, local production, sourcing, compliance, cluster representation, logistics of the NXT. Also, as director of NAFTC, he is responsible to represent a cluster of Dutch agricultural-related companies into the Indian market. Welcoming this esteemed panel once again, and over to my professor R.N. Bhaskar, who is an editor at the Free Press Journal, for commencing the last episode for this very interesting series of Financing India and the focus country Netherlands.
Thank you, Kavya. One of the reasons why we took up Financing India is because India will need investments very badly, very quickly, even though they may not mention it publicly. And the second reason is that we need the investments to create jobs in India. We need the investments to create new opportunities in India, especially because of almost a third of existing jobs will disappear by the time these students graduate. So with all jobs disappearing, they need new opportunities. So we need to expose students, faculty, businessmen to the possibilities of tomorrow, and nothing like Netherlands, even though it's a last in a series. We are privileged to have all of them here. And let me start with the Consul General, Bart, to make his presentation. We are waiting to hear you, sir.
Thank you so much, Professor Bhaskar. And thank you also Free Press Journal in general, I would say, for having the Netherlands on this series. We are very honored to be here, make part of your series. And thank you, Kavya, for your kind introduction. I have a presentation, if that could be shared. Yeah, if an Indian looks at the Netherlands, you see he has a sort of a bit of a puzzled face. And therefore, I thought it would be good to give you a very brief interview of what the Netherlands is, the Netherlands economy. Next slide, please. If you're not familiar with the Dutch economy, we are a very small or relatively small country in Europe, and we have very few natural resources. And therefore, the Netherlands has always been very much dependent on international trade. We have become very outward looking also because of this, because of the international trade relations. Entrepreneurial spirit also developed, and we have created a very open economy. Now, this is too quick. The economic footprint that we have is way above our weight, I would say. If you look in the right-hand table, you see we are number 17, is it here? Yes, number 17 when it comes to GDP in the world. Whereas population-wise, we're number 68. We are only 17 million people. So we push way beyond our, let's say, relative size. Our success actually is also very much dependent on the structural reforms that we did in the 1980s, basically. We made our labor laws more flexible, and we eased our rules for foreign direct investment, actually. And that is related to the remark Professor Bhaskar made in the beginning. We need foreign investment. You not only need foreign investment in India, but also the Netherlands need foreign direct investment. Okay. So we have a very large economic footprint. Slide 3. And that also shows internationally, I would say, the tradition of outward looking and entrepreneurship made that the Netherlands have a very, quite a large group of very large, internationally quite well-known companies. To name a few, Philips is here. And these the ones mentioned over here are actually all present in India as well. They invested here as well. So it's Unilever, be it the local branch, Hindustan Unilever. We have DSM, Dutch States Mines. They evolved from a coal mining company into a nutritional and chemical company, which is very interesting. So Shell, of course, is quite well known. Fokker used to be known to the older generation, probably they know it. It was formerly an airplane maker, and they are now doing airplane parts that they produce over here in India. So a lot of companies that have actually put up stock here and are active in India, which you might not think are Dutch companies in the first place. Next slide. Yes, okay. This is the Dutch competitiveness and rank the ranking of the Netherlands on this worldwide competitiveness ranking. We are basically in all lists, we're in the top 5, actually, I would say. So it's a very competitive spirit that the Dutch have, innovative, outward-looking. So this is a bit the Dutch, the background of the Dutch. Now, through the history, the Netherlands and India enjoy a very close relationship, and that started, I think, 400 years ago already with the spice trade. Next slide, please. And that trade relation is very intense. I don't have a graph of the trade relation, but I do have a graph also of the investment relation, because of course, a trade relation makes that you also have a very close business relation in general. And as we're talking about investment, I thought this slide was most appropriate here. The Times of India actually had an article on the top countries investing in India, cumulative investment that is. And here you see that we are number 3 in India. number 3. So before the USA, before UK, Japan, just after Singapore. Mauritius is a different story, but which I'm not going to develop, that will take too much time, but we are one of the largest investors in India, and that is remarkable for a country our size.
Yes.
There are just under 200 businesses active in India. The ones I showed on the slide are just a few, but just under 200 now. 67 of them are also present in Maharashtra. And the other way around, there are 160 Indian companies active in the Netherlands, and counting, I should say, because what is amazing is that, especially during this COVID year, we see that there is an uptick, especially in IT companies from India that want to invest in the Netherlands. There's an uptick in the IT industry in general, of course, because all we're doing right now is having Zoom webinars and missions and what have you, that made for an enormous surge in IT, and the Netherlands is partly profiting from that, benefiting from that. So it's quite intense trade and investment relation. And you might say, because these 200 companies over here and the 160 companies Indian companies in the Netherlands, that we seem to feel at home in each other's country. We also have a very sizable Indian community, or I should say Hindustani Indian community in the Netherlands, which is the biggest outside the UK in Europe, the biggest in Europe. I say Hindustani because that is a part of our colonial past. We have quite a lot of people formerly working in Suriname that were actually contracted from India and Pakistan at the time. There was one country, of course. And they actually make for a sizable Indian Hindustani community in the Netherlands. Now, if we look at the breakdown of that investment, the Dutch investment in India, that's the next slide, please. What you see is that the services sector is the largest, quite closely followed by the computer, software, and hardware sector. The computer and hardware sector I just talked about, that's clear, and that's a modern phenomena, and that is growing like Donald water. It's clear that India has a competitive advantage here, so very obvious. The largest sector is the services sector, and that includes a lot of services in water engineering, I would say. Water engineering when it comes to flood control. That is what the Netherlands, of course, is known for. We are a low-lying country, and we have a lot of expertise in keeping water out, so to say, pumping water out, because we are below sea level, and we all have a lot of riverine floodings. But also in water quality, we have a lot of expertise, because we got a lot of salt intrusion in the groundwater, so we developed a lot of expertise in water management, water quality management as well. Another area in services is maritime sectors and logistics sector. We have a close cooperation with the Indian Ports Association, close cooperation also with the Indian Maritime University. So that is all maritime services. Of course, if the agricultural sector must be part of the services sector here as well, because we do a lot of consultancy in agriculture as well. Then, of course, there is the chemical sector, which is sort of an 8% over here. I think Shell and DSM that you saw on this first picture, they are part of that. Trade is a very important sector as well, 8%. I think IKEA gets into this sector. Mrs. Dhupar will tell us all about that later on. So IKEA is definitely also trading, but also an investor. Investor here, yeah, in trade relation. And then the 6% is it says automobile industry. We don't have car makers ourselves in the Netherlands, nearly none, one or two very small ones. But the investment in mobile industry is usually investors in suppliers to the automotive industry itself. Okay, so I already said that Maharashtra I already said, sorry, that agriculture is a very important sector in our investment relationship. It is also important in the Netherlands. The Netherlands, having said that, is a very small country, but we are number 2 in the world when it comes to agricultural exports. If you look at the agricultural population active in agricultural sector in the Netherlands, it's something about 2%. Nevertheless, we managed to produce 2% of global agricultural exports. We are number 2 after the US. So that says quite something of the productivity of the agricultural sector. And that says also something about the attractiveness of cooperation in that area. Cooperation in trade, but definitely also in investment. We have invested in a Indo-Dutch Center of Excellence in vegetable produce in Baramati. And here farmers are trained, I should say, on the latest methodologies for cultivation of vegetables in greenhouses. And that's also where we are known for. And then there is another Center of Excellence of flowers for coming up in Talegaon. And then Maharashtra also houses a number of Dutch seed companies like East-West Seed, Enzazaden, and floricultural companies like KF Bioplants and Rising Science. There's a whole array of smaller or medium-sized companies that are investing in Maharashtra specifically too. Now, to promote trade and investment in the Netherlands, we have created a Dutch trade and investment network. We have an embassy in New Delhi, of course, but we also have a number of consulates, one in Bangalore, one in Mumbai, which I'm heading. And then we have a number of business support offices, definitely there to support Dutch investors in India, but also trade. And then we have a number of honorary consuls in Lucknow, Kolkata, Chennai, and Hyderabad, I should say. Only the 2 NBSOs, the Netherlands Business Support Offices, are in Ahmedabad and in Hyderabad. In looking what kind of sectors we would like to stimulate to invest in India, and that we as a government would want to promote, but also the Indian government wants to promote, I should say. We very much look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They were created in 2015. Both the Netherlands and India have embraced them. And for our international relations, whenever government support is involved, we very much stimulate them, and we very much look whether the investments or the trade relation is in line with the UN SDGs. But having said all this, it's not only sunshine, I should say, in the bilateral investment relations. I think that it is no secret that India is generally not regarded as the most easy country in the world to do the business at or to invest in. There remain a lot of hurdles, and I think in our bilateral relations we need to work on that. We need to work on that. We do that by trying to ease relations in the framework of our bilateral investment treaty. But I could give an example. There are companies that want to invest in food factories or food production, I should say, over here. It's also agricultural. But there remain a lot of hurdles. And these companies, they find it difficult to invest in India because of registration delays. It takes quite a lot of time to register in India, and that's basically because India is not party to the International Union for the Protection of New Variety of Plants, which is an international treaty. And for instance, those kinds of things, they hamper or they delay the investment relationship. So I could mention more, but these are things that come to my mind now. And we think that if we would have active cooperation from the Indian government to ease these kinds of things, to become a part of these kinds of contracts, international treaties, I should say, international agreements, then that would ease business relations too. Having said that, of course, we still see a lot of opportunities for cooperation. Manufacturing is one. Make in India, of course, is conducive to that. If we find Dutch companies that would like to produce in India, that would completely be in line with the aims of the Dutch government. We see opportunities in the logistics and chemical sector. There are initiatives in the water and waste management sector. Smart cities I didn't mention. That is more of a service, I would say also, that we could try to cooperate on. But investing in smart city services is a different story. Agriculture, I just spoke about, definitely a promising sector that we should have a closer look at. And then to ease the work for Indian exporters, we definitely also need to invest in cold chains, because I understand that 35% of food production in India is just lost because the produce is rotten somewhere in the process because there's no efficient cold chain supply chain. So that is something that we are looking at and we can invest into. And then last but not least, I would say life sciences and health is an important sector. Philips, that you saw on one of the first screens, is an investor in production of medical equipment over here in India. So we see a lot of opportunities. At the same time, we see some hurdles. We can work on that together. And that's why we keep the dialogue with the Indian authorities on this wide open.
Excellent.
I'd like to close on that, Mr. Bhaskar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, I'll come back to you with more questions. I just want to check whether Vikas Chaturvedi is on or not yet.
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Otherwise, we're going to skip you and take Preet instead. Okay, please go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you, Bhaskar.
If you can keep it to 8 minutes, because I just want to keep it within that.
Sure. Excellent. Thank you. So thank you and good afternoon, everyone who are watching in India, and morning to everyone who are watching in Europe. My name is Vikas Chaturvedi. I am the CEO of Valucent Consultancy. I basically have been involved in the India-Netherlands business for last 15 years, initially working as PricewaterhouseCoopers in Amsterdam. My background is I'm a chartered accountant. I went to Netherlands in 2005, did my master's in law and taxation, and since then, the Dutch held me so tight that for the last 15 years, I have been working for the Netherlands. The country is so phenomenal. The opportunities between India and Netherlands are so vast that it really held me tight and made me do only India-Netherlands for the last 15 years. So friends, we are having an office both in India and Netherlands. What we do is we help Indian companies go to Netherlands and bring Dutch companies to India. Now, a lot has been said by His Excellency already in his presentation. So I was thinking, the more he was saying, the more I was thinking what else I can add on. But I will briefly explain as to what has been the experience so far, what opportunity lies, and what both sides can achieve from what exists in the market. So let me first of all say that there is a huge interest of Dutch companies in India because India is a natural partner for Netherlands. They say WAH, W-A-H. Those are the three sectors that India needs from Netherlands and where Netherlands excel. That WAH, W-A-H stands for water, agriculture, and health. Those are the three top sectors of Netherlands. And these are the three sectors where India needs the maximum collaboration, the maximum cooperation, and let's say the maximum joint ventures, where Dutch companies can really make a difference to India. Friends, as a matter of fact, what we are also doing, in terms of Valucent, in terms of my own company, I am also the chairman for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and India-Dutch Financial Corridor. So with these extra hats, it puts me in a position to promote business between the India and the Netherlands. In last 10 years, I would say, particularly of my 15 years stay, I would have helped over 8 states in India for attracting investments from Netherlands to India. I mean, you take states like Madhya Pradesh, states like Himachal Pradesh, states like Maharashtra, states like Karnataka. We have had opportunities where we connected Dutch companies with the chief ministers of these states because, all these states, as you are aware, has started a roadshow promotion. They do their own state summit. And in most of these state summits, Netherlands has been a partner country. It has been a partner country for Gujarat. It has been a partner country for Uttar Pradesh and for many other states. In fact, last year, we took a very large delegation from Netherlands to Himachal Pradesh, where over 14 MOUs in the areas that I just mentioned were signed. You see, the last 3 years have been magnificent for India-Netherlands relationship. Indian Prime Minister Modi had been to Netherlands. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte has been to India twice. Number of MOUs, strategic MOUs has been signed, again focusing on the areas where we just mentioned. Friends, very important, very pertinent to note for all of you is this India-Dutch financial corridor, which I'm also representing. One thing we projects where Dutch companies can participate, but most of the times they were not able to create a concrete, tangible project because they lacked finances. And through this India-Dutch financial corridor, what we aim to basically facilitate, and connect the Dutch financial institutions with Indian companies and the Dutch companies which wants to do large-scale projects in India. There has been a phenomenal interest of Dutch institutions in India, especially institutions like FMO, institutions like PGGM. There are a lot of Dutch pension funds, especially APG, PGGM, which are looking at India opportunities. So if you combine with what exists in the market, and if you reach out to these right institutions, a lot can happen for India. As the title of this event says, Financing India, I think if one has good tangible project, I'm sure with the help of these institutions, these projects can come from a thinking, point to an execution point. Now, as you know, I also heard Excellency saying about India receiving one of the highest FDIs from Netherlands. Certainly, the Dutch has been a top contributor towards Indian FDI. Now, if you look, the simple reason being the Dutch treaty that it has with India. So the bilateral trade avoidance agreement that exists between India and Netherlands is one of the best that exists today in India. So in past, it has been, India has been having a good treaty with Mauritius, with Singapore, with Cyprus, and the Netherlands. But if you see the three countries which I mentioned in the beginning, the treaty benefits have substantially come down. So the country that still remains, which makes an impact, significant impact, for investments from outside India, is the Netherlands. So all the large investors, be it from Germany, be it from France, be it from Spain, from Netherlands, they all use Netherlands as a head office, as a base location, as a springboard to basically make an entry into India. So, if you look at overall picture, the ecosystem that exists between Netherlands and India makes the whole arrangement very cohesive. If you look at the ecosystem that exists between the two sides, it has been phenomenal. Both the sides, both the country, both the leaderships has been working tremendously on taking this to a very, very high level. The India-Netherlands business is already close to 7 to 8 billion euros. In times to come, it will touch 50 billion, 20 billion euros level. And especially, we are talking of, we are looking at Brexit, which is just around the corner. It makes Netherlands' proposition even solid for India. So if you look at the whole geopolitical landscape, India, EU being the leading and strategic partners, and the natural gateway for Indian companies into EU is Netherlands. And for EU, the EU companies, especially Dutch, I think the opportunities in India that exist are tremendous. In terms of municipalities, I have been asked, to say a few words on what the municipalities, local municipalities are doing for India diaspora. So I can certainly tell you that if, as an Indian, you go to Netherlands, the things in last decade has completely changed. Today, we have Diwalis happening in Netherlands, not in one city, not in two cities, maybe in 4 or 5 people celebrate the Diwali festival. We are the largest growing diaspora in the Netherlands from the India. It's the largest growing diaspora. We have overtaken Japanese in the Dutch market. So if you see, simply the trade and the opportunities make it possible where we are heading towards. Also, the tax for them is very attractive. It offers a very low tax rate of 16% for expats who wants to move to Netherlands. I have been to a lot of students hearing this webinar. So for students who are looking for education, Netherlands offer an excellent education platform for higher education. Masters of Finance, Masters of Science, MBA programs, large IT companies, which has chosen Netherlands as their hub. So for from a perspective of diaspora, Dutch offers a red carpet, or rather I would say an orange carpet.
Thanks.
So I bring to the conclusive point that the opportunities between Netherlands and India are tremendous. The potential is far more that exists today, and events like this, webinars like this, aim to take it to the next level. My compliments to the organizers, and with this, I would like to thank you, Mr. Bhaskar.
Thank you. I'll come back to you, but I just want to take all the panelists first. Thanks. Preet, can I have you? Preet?
Sorry, yes. Thank you very much. You can hear me now?
My pleasure, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's been super interesting to, to listen to the earlier panelists, but I'm going to twist the topic, a bit and move actually towards India and talk about why IKEA, is in India. And it's interesting, actually, if you look at the full strategy of, IKEA and the vision of IKEA, which is to create a better everyday life for the many people.
Yes.
I think India offers the potential, to really fully realize that strategy to its full potential. And the potential for us, I think, lies with the people of India. And I speak that also as an Indian. India resonates, I think, with IKEA. It's a diverse, multicultural society, a thriving democracy, an emerging economy, a country that has been open and is open to investments, modernization, and digitization. 17% of the world's population lives in India, and more than 50% of them are below 25 years of age. So many people who are starting out in life with, with their journeys, and as IKEA, we want to partner with them in their life's journey. Our business is about life at home, and we want to ensure that we reach the many people in India with products and solutions that are affordable and sustainable. We also spoke earlier about, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and it again resonates, very well with us, because for IKEA, it's about balancing, economic growth and making a positive impact, on the planet as well. And we have the opportunity in India to work on both the pillars and work on all the pillars of our sustainability strategy. So our ambition globally in IKEA is by 2030 to inspire and enable 1 billion people to live better everyday life within the limits of the planet. And we hope that there will be many Indians amongst them. We are still in the phase of entering different cities in the Indian market. We have a store and online operations in Hyderabad, online operations in Mumbai and Pune, and I'm really pleased to say that we are opening our Navi Mumbai store on the 18th of December. During this pandemic, our focus is on the safety and security of our co-workers and our customers. We have a registration-based entry to the store, and with a limit on the number of people, initially, and we will offer a safe shopping experience to our customers. We want to grow our business in the most sustainable manner, and again, India offers that opportunity. India has an emerging renewable energy sector, and even as IKEA, as I said, we've just about started to scratch the surface in India. So therefore, we are also working on our strategy to move towards 100% renewable energy in our operations. We have solar panels on our stores in both Hyderabad and Navi Mumbai. And in fact, Navi Mumbai is a LEED Gold certified, store. India also offers us the opportunity to work on the third pillar of our sustainability strategy, which is fair and inclusive. We want to be a truly fair, inclusive, and people-centric company and employer. And in India, we have chosen to focus on gender diversity as a starter point. We are well aware that diversity has many aspects, but we start with gender, and our ambition is that we will be at 50% women across all levels and equal pay. And I'm happy to say that we, in the Navi Mumbai store, actually it is that, and we are nearly there in, overall as a country as well. And so I think India offers us, the ability to really realize all the aspects, all of our total strategy. And we believe that, we are in India for the long term, and we will ride along with the challenges. We will take the opportunities, as we say at IKEA, that, India will make IKEA a little better, and IKEA will make India a little better. And that's kind of philosophy, with India. I also like to talk about IKEA Foundation, also from the Netherlands, which has been supporting projects in India, for a very long time. In fact, quite large projects in India. But if I speak from the retail side, then we've also partnered with them and with UNDP, in a project called Disha, where we supported with skill building and looked at retail skills, particularly in the states of Telangana and Maharashtra, where we were able to actually even employ people, in our stores, and that's something that we hope to continue, through different projects. I think what is really important in the post-pandemic, phase, a bit on what's ahead for us and what's ahead, maybe a bit for India, is a sustained focus on growth and economic policy making in India. India has demonstrated on a focus on growth and policy reforms and opening up the market for investments, in a responsible manner, in the past. And I think we need to continue that trend. Those of us living in India have seen the growth and benefited from it. And just as the rest of the world, the pandemic has had a massive impact on the Indian economy as well. So it's important to kind of get economic policy, making back on track. And if I just pick this up from, the retail industry a bit, we've had great engagement with and support from the government from the start. Single brand retail opened up 100% FDI, that's around the time that we came into India. So there's been great industry engagement, where, the government has actually listened to the industry. And I think that's the best way to operate. When you actually listen to people on the ground, you listen to the industry, and, then you develop policy in that manner. And that's pretty much, what the government has done. And this is the kind of engagement I believe should continue. Retail is a big driver for growth. And I also believe it has a multiplier impact on the economy because it touches all sectors, whether it's construction, real estate, logistics and infrastructure, and the services industry. So, the whole employment generation, and capital generation is across, a number of sectors. So I think it's also important to draw a balance between liberalization and self-reliance because both are important. Yeah. And it's not one or the other. And I think both work in tandem. And I'll just give one example and then close my, talk that we in IKEA have a legal requirement to source 30% products for an Indian business from India. Now, our ambition is in a few years actually to do 50%, not just the legal requirement of, 30%. And IKEA has been sourcing products from India for over 35 years, mostly textiles and carpets and rugs. But since the past 5 years now, we have actually increased the categories. We've now got mattresses and, sofas that we are sourcing, also developing products in metals and plastics and so on. And we are trying now to actually make a difference in the category of solid wood and board-based materials. And this is also furniture, a sector that the government has identified, right? But I just want to say that it will take longer to develop the manufacturing capacity of suppliers in this area. We are working, also with the government on that. And the other thing to note is that when a product enters our supply chain, it actually grows, across to other IKEA countries as well. So, which is why I talk about the balance between self-reliance and, and liberalization, because investments are important for growth. Yeah. And investments actually have the potential to contribute into the growth of the domestic sector, as much. And I think that's where I'd like to leave it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Again, Preet, I'm going to come back to you specifically with a couple of questions, but we'll take that later. Could I have Victor now? Victor, 8 minutes.
Yeah, of course. So good afternoon. And of course, thanks for the opportunity to speak here today. It's my pleasure.
Pleasure.
As mentioned before, my name is Vikas Eveleens. I'm one of the partners and director of trade of the NXT Group of Companies. Yes. Besides, I also have the role as the Indian director of the Netherlands Agro Food and Technology Center, which is called the NAFTEC. A little bit on NXT. NXT is a 13-year-old company. It's a market expansion company. I personally have been in India since 2008, been living and working from Bangalore. And we currently have offices around the world. We have offices in India, Netherlands, Turkey, Colombia, starting with Russia and USA probably in 2021. Got a little bit of delay there due to COVID. As NXT, we actually focus on building a global infrastructure between countries, which we then offer to the companies that we partner with. So that is for them to expand their international activities or to start their international activities. We do this in the widest range of the sense. We started market research to strategy implementations. We do import, local business sales. We do import. We have local factories. Our partners are mostly SME companies, so SME companies who have desire to expand their business into international foreign markets. The industries that we focus on mostly are technology, performance materials, agriculture, health, renewable energy, fast-moving consumer goods, retail and e-commerce. So when I talk about infrastructure, what we do is we always set up a complete local infrastructure with the local office, local staff, making sure that all the local licenses and registrations are in place, a local network of stakeholders, buyers, influencers in the market, local warehousing, distribution, and even local factories, as I said. So we set it up and we offer this to our partners so that we can ease their way into a foreign market. So that is a bit of background on NXT. And when I come to the topic of today, which is bringing investment into the foreign market, and in this case into India, I would like to share some more practical views of the SMEs, why they do or do not decide to come into the market and to invest their time, effort, and money there. There are two main motives for a company to move into a foreign market or to move into India. One is to offer their product line into the Indian market. The second would be to produce or outsource business activities to India. Now, talking about point number one, what are the main drivers for companies that they want to come to India to offer their product line? I think the current reputation and image that India has been positively developed over the last decade. I have seen that from the time I came here to where it is now. And I think the government of Prime Minister Modi actually had a huge impact on that to put India on the global map. So those are very good efforts because people now see what India is about. It's no longer a developing country. It's in many ways already a developed country. It's a huge economic market. There are 1.3 billion people, which rings into people's ears or companies' ears when they want to supply to a market like that. It's a fifth economy of the world at 2.6 trillion USD. The recent years has been a GDP growth of 7 to 8% almost year on year. This year, unfortunately, we are down, but I think that will recover again. But in this way, companies know that India is a force to reckon with. When I talk to companies, I tell them, or exporting companies mostly, whether they have considered and made a conscious choice whether or not to move into India. Because it's not a market you can ignore anymore. Maybe it's too early for you, maybe it's too far away, maybe your product is not right for it, but you cannot just ignore it. You have to make a conscious decision whether or not you move into India. And it should be researched and checked before you say no. Now, most companies do have an interest, and I think some other points that actually cater to that interest are that there's a huge upcoming demand for quality in the Indian market, both from the B2B as the B2C market. Consumers are having higher standards in what they want. That brings opportunity for investment from foreign companies who have developed the technologies of the products further. In the business-to-business market, the professionalizations of the industries has taken place, which means that they look more long-term, maybe not on the short-term investment, but actually seeing what is my long-term benefit of investing in, for example, imported equipment, right? Is it lower maintenance, less downtime, higher efficiency, less cost in operational overhead. There's a growing scale of economy in India. It used to be very small industry based, right? Smaller workshops, smaller factories, agricultural as we speak. There used to be small parcels, small farmers, not a lot of investment power, small food processing units. All of this is now growing up into larger scale operations. And larger scale operations also cause larger scale budgets, and therefore being able to consider foreign products, foreign equipment. There's a pretty good government incentives for international companies to come in. There is a digitalization of the society, which makes it a lot easier. If we look at the paperwork of 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I see now what all can be already done a lot easier into the digital platforms. It makes it easier to actually enter. And one of the benefits that is always there is the language and education that is there in the Indian market. But of course, there are some hurdles as well. And if I look at some hurdles for a company that could lead to a no-go, is that it's still far and unknown. It's sometimes it's a scary place to divert your attention to. They say, I'm doing quite well in Eastern Europe or in my neighboring countries, or I supply to the UK and USA. I focus there. Let me not throw investment into a faraway and scary place like India. This comes from some fear of investing due to compliance issues, like Mr. Bart already said as well. Registration, compliance, it is quite a hurdle to get through. There's still a reputation, unfortunately, of corruption, which limits people as well for making their plans to come in. There are logistic challenges, the road systems, the cold storage, as Mr. Bart also rightly pointed out, handling of material, damaging of material. I can give an example on the registration demand. Actually, what is happening now is that we were a couple of months working on the registration for a company that is into the drug category. And they actually, at that time, started it up. But now, a couple months later, when we revisited this case, all the costs have gone up by about 5 times. This is to support local products, which is understandable as a short-term solution, but eventually it's holding back a lot of companies to come in because they are just trying to block foreign products from coming in by making it more and more difficult and costlier to bring your products. Another doubt that I sometimes hear is the funding capacity of buyers. It's mostly in industrial. We all know that consumers are going up. There's a lot of buying power from the consumer market. But industrial, there's still some limitations. Funding is not always easy in India. Money is not easily available. Banks, loans, collateral that you have to put against it. It's not easy to expand business purely based on plans. Therefore, I think a lot of plans and investors are getting frozen that actually wanted to invest and maybe wanted to invest together with a foreign partner. And in certain cases, there are some high import rates and complex procedures of bringing things in.
Victor, can I come back to you again?
Yeah.
Can I come back to you a little later because we have a time constraint here?
Absolutely, no issue. You can do that.
Okay, thanks a million. Thanks a million.
Yeah, no problem.
It's not because what you're saying is unimportant. It's just that I have to manage a little bit of time here.
No issue. No issue.
Thanks. Okay. I'll begin my introduction with just a couple of questions and then leave it to Kavya to ask the other questions. Then if there's some time left, I'll ask a couple of more questions.
No problem at all.
It's to everyone. I mean, they can put in. Generally, after listening to you, listening to all the panelists here, and going by what the other countries have said in the last 8 sessions that we had over the last 2 months, is that India's problems, India has been difficult a market because of 4 reasons. One is unpredictability. The second is labor. The third is compliance. And the fourth is dispute resolution. Now, could you just ask each one just to mention what is your sequence of irritation with these 4 buckets? Could I ask the Consul General first?
Thank you, Professor Bhaskar. Well, you will probably understand that the Consul General does not have a source of irritation. So he does not. No, I think one of the most important things if you want to be conducive to an investor relationship is indeed the predictability.
Yes.
Predictability. We need investors need certainty. And that is why we have engaged with India in a bilateral investment treaty, like we've done with a number of other countries in the world. Not in Europe,
Yes.
The European Union, but the investment relation or treaty, I should say, is there to predict this, to create this predictability and certainty. We protect each other's investments. That's the basis of that treaty. And once you've that, one of the most important hurdles is being taken. Of course, there's the other ones, right? Compliance, labor, yeah, they are there still. But I think from a government point of view, this is the most important contribution we have made, this treaty. Yeah. Excellent. And then, of course, for specific cases, we see where we can be helpful. We talk about compliance. We can work on compliance in various fields. We have well-known institutes that look for global compliance of whatever products, agricultural, industrial. But we could work with Indian counterparts. So, no. Labor standards is actually the same. We're working. I told already in my introduction. We're working on. We have a maritime education cooperation that is also about raising labor standards in a certain area that we think there is room for bilateral cooperation. And as we do with the centers of excellence, it's the same thing. Centers of excellence on agriculture. So yeah, we work on all these fields. We try to improve the conditions there.
Excellent. Would other panelists like to mention anything about these 4 points? What do they consider to be the most vexatious bucket?
I think unpredictability would be number one.
Wonderful. Okay, so you and Bart have the same point of view. Okay, Preet?
Predictability. Yeah.
Unpredictability. Okay.
It is, and I think again a way to kind of mitigate that is the constant engagement with the authorities. But yeah, for sure.
Great. Vikas? Okay, doesn't matter. So the second question is, I think, I don't know whether the Consul General will be able to answer. And in case he can't answer, let me direct to a specific question on IKEA itself. One of the biggest areas that India is concerned about, and India should be concerned about, is unemployment. Investments are meant to generate employment. And Netherlands companies have generated huge numbers of jobs for Indians, directly and indirectly. Would you have a number for that? It's good copy for my readers and good for the audience to know what are the numbers that we're talking about.
I think we have to refer to your reader then. I haven't. I don't have it at the tip of my mind.
No problems. I was just hoping that I'd have some consolidated numbers. But please, in your company, you employ people. How many people have you employed directly and indirectly? Would you have an estimate?
Yeah. So if I answer the question, on an average, every store generates about I think every store generates about 500 to 750 direct, and then probably 5 times of that number of indirect employment.
5 times that number, not bad.
Because we also start off with the construction. I mean, our model is also that we buy land and construct the stores. Yeah. So,
yes.
When Mr. Bart was also talking about, labor standards and, so it's also the construction industry, and then in fact, the entire supply and services side as well.
Okay, just one more indirect question about IKEA. You see, do it yourself is a great idea. I bought IKEA products and I've used them effectively. But increasingly, when it comes to the upper middle class, they don't want to do it themselves. They want a carpenter to do the final assembly themselves. Do you have an answer? Do you discourage that? Do you encourage that? Just your views.
We don't. Firstly, we don't discourage that. We cater to whatever the customers want.
Customer wants.
Also coming back to the first question that you spoke about employment. So what we are also doing is that we are tying up with local companies, right? So
yes.
What we've done is we've done tie-ups with, say, for example, the urban company, and we have trained carpenters. So it's not that we also train people, and we train carpenters, and and hopefully we maybe in another year's time when we talk again, we'd have probably progress more on some of the other projects where we are looking at skill building initiatives, in the area of, assembling and home furnishings and interior design, as well.
Okay, great. And
we support either way, whichever way. But I have to say this, and this I say in favor of actually, the Indian population, and that doesn't matter the age. I think Indians are really adaptable.
Yes.
Yeah, and learn, very quickly. So I think we've also seen an uptake of DIY, in India, and I think that's great.
I love DIY products. All my childhood, I love assembling things together, and that's why I like IKEA very much. Okay, one more question, and then I'll request Kavya to ask the questions. Education is critically important for most Indians. When you look at education, when you ask a student, where would you like to go and study? The first response is America or UK or some other country. Netherlands is never on that list. Why? I know Netherlands is very good. I know the course, the quality of education Netherlands offers and its neighboring Scandinavian countries offer are brilliant. Why has it not made an impact on the minds of students?
Well, I can react to that if you want me to.
Of course.
It may be not at the top of the mind for an Indian student wanting to go and study abroad, because you don't think of the Netherlands as a country where you can have an English language education. You indeed think of English language countries, like the UK and the US. But actually, we get quite a large number of Indian students to the Netherlands. I think it's about 7,000 to 8,000 a year, which is.
And they study Dutch. And they study in Dutch?
No, most universities, and that's why, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell that. No, but most universities actually teach in English.
Very good. That's good.
So most universities would have English language courses, complete MBA courses, whatever. So we attract a lot of Indian students. It's about 8,000.
And they're very good courses. They're very good courses. Highly respected in the market.
Yeah, so especially in the technical universities, but any subject is taught in English actually in the Netherlands. Law, whatever, international law, yeah. And we do our best to promote that. We actually have NAFIC. It's a center in Bangalore, and they promote educational cooperation, especially in the higher echelons, so in universities.
Excellent. And do you have any numbers, Vikas or Consul General, would you have numbers about the growth of the number of students from India who go to Netherlands?
I wouldn't be able to give you. No, I don't have that figure available here. No, but okay. I know that at the moment it's about 8,000. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Can I make a comment here?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. And now this comment I make as my personal capacity and not in as IKEA, as actually a mother who sent her child to study in Netherlands. And it's also quite interesting because we researched for English language courses. We knew the topic, the course that she wanted to do. And the choice of Netherlands, and I would like to say, is that I found it one of the friendliest countries in the world, and also English speaking. So, that is what kind of, obviously the course, the university, the faculty, and then actually a very easy to live, country in which made the choice to go there.
Excellent. I'm glad that personal experience adds a lot, a great dimension to this subject. Okay, I'll stop here because I need to get the audience questions in. Kavya, could you take over?
Yes, surely. So our first question is, India is trying to explore blue economy. How can India learn from Netherlands when it comes to blue economy? And does Netherlands and India have any collaboration in water or waste management?
Yes, we do. I think that I'm the first one that should answer that question. So, well, maybe Vikas, because you were away for a while, maybe you can tell something about that.
Yes,
please.
Absolutely. So there is a lot of cooperation between water and waste in India. If you look, I will first speak on water. I mean, there is a company, very large company called Waternet in the Netherlands. And it's a technical collaboration partner with a lot of state governments in India. So Waternet has been working in Maharashtra, Waternet has been working in Himachal Pradesh, and in a lot of other states with cities with them. I mean, Waternet has a cooperation with a lot of cities basically in India. Also, when you look at waste, there are a lot of Dutch companies which have come to India. And again, if you look at waste as such is very broad, but then it has a lot of sub-elements. and the Dutch are masters into each sub-element of waste. So a lot of companies, again, from, on the waste sector, has been into Karnataka, for example. I mean, there has been a cooperation with Bangalore City, where the waste companies were planning to sort of come out with a whole plan, roadmap for how to handle the solid waste management for Bangalore City. So with Mumbai, I mean, 2009, 2010, we got an MOU signed between Mumbai and Amsterdam. And one of the key areas where we thought, both cities can work, it's a sister city cooperation. One of the areas where both cities can work together is waste. I mean, where they agreed to work together is waste. I mean, so there are a lot of cooperations. I can go on and on, but I think the Consul General is saying something. So
maybe one thing to add to that, Vikas and Bhaskar, is that the Netherlands government also has the incentives of the Partners International Business, which is PIB, in which a consortium of companies is being represented with government funding to come into India and to offer their services as a cluster. And those are also in waste management and in water. So there's definitely a focus to bring the Netherlands technology into the Indian market.
Excellent.
Can I say last thing to that? Because,
yes, please.
This is actually quite to the point at the moment, because I have to rush off.
I know
to sign an MOU with the Maharashtra government, with the Secretary for the Environment, on wastewater and plastic and reuse management. So we were developing this relationship. There's a number of companies interested to invest in this also. And what they're actually going to do is to apply for a PIB cooperation, like Victor just mentioned.
Yeah.
So that looks all very promising, and we've worked this through with Secretary Majka, and the cooperation that Mr. Chaturvedi just mentioned between Amsterdam and Maharashtra government is part of that cooperation. So we bring it as a whole, which makes it, of course, much more attractive for companies to work together in and also invest in. Yeah. So yes, blue economy, we welcome that.
Okay, Kavya, can I butt in with one more question?
Sure.
Okay, I've got a direct feed from one of the audience audience members, is that Netherlands is amazing in agriculture. I remember in my reading, you are masters of hydroponics. And there's one company, and Netherlands, so not one company, there are several companies which are the second largest exporters of tomatoes to the world. Given these technologies, and given that hydroponics is perhaps the best solution to a changing climate environment, shouldn't we be working on agriculture in many more ways? Open to you.
I would say absolutely. I would say absolutely. I mean, and that's where also, it was mentioned that Dutch and Netherlands, the Dutch and India have signed cooperation to build 10 center of excellence only in agriculture. 10 center of excellence. Okay. The first one is in Baramati in Maharashtra. The second one is in Kerala, and the other states are also coming up with.
Can you send me a note on this one? We'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Kavya, back to you.
All right, sir. So to add to your question, can Indian farmers set their agricultural relations without any hindrance with Netherlands?
I think absolutely. The answer is yes, but given the complexity of the agriculture, the way agriculture is structured in India, I think the problem lies, in the structure that exists today before one can really, come and help the farmers, because you have farmer cooperative groups, and on those groups you have on the top of the groups, so the whole structure of farming in India needs a revitalization, as I may say. The whole structural changes needs to be made. I mean, you look at the new law that Prime Minister Modi's government has just announced. So the whole idea is how farmers can directly fetch a better price, and how directly they can fetch the better technology, from the companies overseas. But still, I would say there is a lot of structural bottlenecks which needs to be resolved, because we have seen in the past a lot of Dutch companies which wants to come and help. The technology, the skill development is the key for agriculture.
Yes.
In agriculture, the key is the knowledge. So you may give knowledge at one time, but it is the flow of continuous knowledge which will make the effort successful on anything to be done on agriculture between Netherlands and India. So I would say on both sides, things need to be worked upon. India needs to make some structural changes if it wants to import. And I mean, it has to come from the government, one from the central government, and then state governments have to pick it up because, you know, there is an intertwining of policies between in the country itself. And once there is more clarity, I think Dutch companies, which have so far struggled, I would say, in past in making a success in India, can be a real true partners for the Indian economy. And agriculture, as we all know, 50 to 60% GDP of the country comes from the agriculture. So it is the very important base for our economy. So, you know, and Dutch can contribute the maximum. So that's where I say the Netherlands and India has hardly achieved the true potential. So in next 5 years, as India would move ahead, I'm sure Dutch companies would come to India and will be a key partner and would be a key collaborator in taking this India's growth journey and making India's 5 trillion economy mission and vision that Prime Minister Modi have, making it a reality.
Thank you. Kavya, we won't take any more questions because the Consul General has to go out. Secondly, we've already overshot our time limit by 5 minutes. Okay, but I must tell you that I am fascinated with Netherlands for 2 reasons, and I mentioned this to the Consul General even before the session began. Between Singapore on one side and Netherlands, there's no other country that offers investor protection as part of the bilateral treaties that exist with India. It also opens up opportunities because of treaties it has with several other countries, and so placing yourself with Netherlands has tremendous advantages both for the foreign investor and for the Indian investor. And the second reason is I love the kind of work you're doing in agriculture in what you call WAHWA. And finally, I admire your education. Most of all, I'm thankful to these panelists who created such a wonderful, who made the session such a wonderful learning experience. But before I say anything further, let me leave the vote of thanks to Dr. Rane and to Kavya.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the Department of Mass Media and on behalf of my HOD, Dr. Vanitha Rane, I, Kavya Pillai, would like to extend my gratitude to the final panel of Financing India, the focus country today, Netherlands, held by the Free Press Journal in collaboration with the Department of Mass Media of SIES College, Sion West. I would like to thank the panel for today, Ms. Preet Dhupar, Victor Eveleens, Bart de Jong, and Dr. Vikas Chaturvedi, and the moderator, our consulting editor of the Free Press Journal, and my professor, Bhaskar sir. I also extend my thanks to the audience for the encouragement, support, and the questions that have been constantly in support with us for the very first session to the last one. And this is our second series with the Free Press Journal. So I thank the audience for being with us and sticking with us for this entire journey. I would like to thank the backend team for all the work that has been building to today and all the sessions before, and my department for giving me this opportunity. Again, would like to thank all present here for sharing the knowledge of a new world. Lastly, every time we have these collaborations, the topic is something everyone is familiar with, but each panel really throws light on so many facts and information that we are unaware of. So thanks for this interesting and unique education series. Thank you once again to everyone present in the panel, and I'm